Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Are your ad campaigns lighting up the dashboard, but not the pipeline? That's bullspend, and marketers are calling it out in Dashboard Confessions.
My boss asked for results, so I opened my dashboard for the only positive-sounding metric I had: impressions.
Cut the bull spend. See revenue, not just reach. LinkedIn delivers the highest return on ad spend of major ad networks. Advertise on LinkedIn. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a $250 credit. Go to linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome, everybody, to Tech Magic. I am Lee Kebler here with Adam Davis-McGee, ADM. And you're probably wondering where Kathy is. She is traveling. I believe she's in Singapore, of all places, right now. She'll be back next week and probably has a ton of things to talk about when she returns. But for now, this is the show where we talk about the latest in technology, the latest in VR, AR, interactive, immersive, everything in between, gaming, all of that stuff open for the table. And yeah, we're just here to go through what's changed. And it's been so much. I feel like every time we record this show on Monday and it goes live on Wednesday. And I feel like every Monday, I feel like I'm recording a show that when it's going to drop, I know I'm wrong, right?
New info every single day.
Yes.
New updates. Yeah.
It is like drinking from a fire hose of just information. And I find this interesting because it seems like it goes in cycles. We'll either get a week where it's a lot of AI, a week where it's a lot of VR, a week where it's like a lot of what in the world is Apple doing in kind of like clusters, which is nice. This is definitely a heavy AI week and we have a lot to discuss. But first and foremost, Adam, how are you? You haven't been on the show for a while. It's good to see you and have you back.
Yeah, thank you. It's great to be back. I got a chance to check out Infinity Festival, which I dipped by for a day here in Los Angeles. For those who may not be familiar, it's an entertainment and technology festival they do each year.
Yes.
This year it was hosted at the Academy Museum at Sony Studios. I got to check out the Academy Museum day, and I had a really, really good time. There was this whole partnership with Brussels. The Princess of Brussels was in town doing a whole thing with the city of LA, and that overlapped into the conference. So just really glad to be out in the streets, as the young folks say, and be with our tech community and our entertainment community in LA. So that was really fun.
So Reese, I was down in Los Angeles recently. You and I got to hang out a lot. We went to a lot of like mixers and events and industry meetups and things like that. And the thing that stood out to me the most was a lot of articles talk about AI in a sense of like, what is it going to mean negatively for creatives? But everything that I saw, which definitely surprised me because it felt like some people might be drinking a little bit of the Kool-Aid on the deep end here, but it was a lot of positivity from artists trying to understand AI, which I wasn't expecting. You're an artist, you live there, you've watched this happen. And I think even you were a little bit surprised at some of the over enthusiasm. I don't know.
I was surprised more so by still the learning curve, the adoption. You go to some of these events and I'm thinking, to your point, there could be a room full of people ready to debate and try to just fight for the rights, right? And figure out how to, rage against the machine. But there's also this whole cohort of artists that are saying, just like, tell me what this is. How do I generate an image? And how does this work for my, merch or for my tour? Like, how do I use these tools in these different creative ways? And people are still very much on the ground floor. That was one of the biggest surprises for me as we were moving around, is like how many artists are still just raising their hand and asking how, and some are asking why, but
which is, I think, the important question, right?
For sure.
We're going to get to that.
Question. Yeah, without question, that is the important question. But yeah, it has been great to just see the to witness the adoption unfold in the artist community and creative community.
I've got a couple of things that I want to talk about today, but the first thing I want to dive into, because you were actually the first person that I knew personally that posted content that was generated by Sora 2. And
don't tell people. No, just kidding.
No, you weren't the first person to do it. You were the first person that I knew personally that I saw something pop up. And I will say, I was not aware that it was Sora, because I know you very well.
Mm-hmm.
And I've known you for maybe 20 years.
Yeah, a long time.
We've known each other for a long time. So I knew a much younger you. And the reason I say this is because this video popped up and it definitely looked like you with like 5 years shaved off. Am I wrong? I'm not wrong.
There you go. Sora will shave off 5 years for you. Have fun. You're not the first person to say that, but at the same time, I'm like, some people were like, yo, where did you film that video? Even my mom messaged me and said, Adam, your videos, they're so good. Where did you do that? I'm like, Mom, it's not.
And my very first thought was not that it was AI, but that it was something that you must have comped together 5 years ago in LA, and I couldn't figure out what it was for and why I hadn't seen it before. Because you tell me about the projects. Like, we're pretty open about projects that we work on together. And so it really caught me off guard. And it wasn't until I unmuted the video, then it became very apparent.
Oh, right.
Like,
voice,
this isn't Adam. Because it didn't sound anything like, it sounded more like me than it sounded like you.
That is so funny. Yeah, man. That voice feature, for those that don't know, Sora 2, when you make your cameo, as they're called, the app records your face and records your voice, but it does not capture that voice quite right. And the same thing for my wife, because I sent her an invite and told her to play with it, and so we could both have our cameos featured in videos. Like, it does not get her face. It does a horrible job of getting my wife's face consistent. It does a great job of getting my face consistent, but the voice is just not my. It never gets it right. It still hasn't.
It did. It looked exact. It really did look like you. Again, a little bit younger version of you, but it did look like you. Like, it got a lot right, and I was really impressed by the output. It also worries me.
Sure.
It's a little surprising. Like, Sora 2 wasn't fully out in the wild when last I was down in Los Angeles, which wasn't that long ago. It was a couple weeks ago. And so that wasn't the leading story. And I'm very curious how Hollywood in Los Angeles in general is going to react to this, because the first thing outside of your video, outside of Kathy's video, and no, you're never going to see one of my videos unless someone else did it. It ain't going to be me. The first thing that I saw pop up was like Mr. Rogers.
Oh,
and then I started seeing Bruce Lee. Yeah. And then I saw Robin Williams. The Robin Williams is what threw my temper off a cliff.
Yeah.
Because it has been explicitly stated by the Williams family. They have gone to legal battle and said, do not utilize their deceased father and family member.
Do you want to get into
AI.
this? Do you want to get into this now?
Oh, I'm going to get into it now.
Okay. Here's something first and foremost that I just want to throw out there, because when I was first on Sora 2, when I got access, because I am an early access artist, I was thinking about you. I actually thought about your words in the sense of us as people, as users, becoming the product, right? And I wasn't entirely sure about, putting myself out there, but I was like, forget it. I'm going to play. I'm going to have fun. When I started seeing like MLK, Martin Luther King, I Have a Dream speech, and I saw Robin Williams and stuff, and I was like, I all of a sudden felt like I was participating. I had to leave the party, I was like a part of something that I didn't necessarily want to be associated with. And I had to I had to just deal with those feelings personally. And I took a pause. But when I read these statements from the family, from the estates, you have to honor that. Like, don't go in there because you see someone making a Robin Williams video, MLK video, you think that's cool. Don't do that. Just don't do it. If you think the estate, if you hear from the family, if you hear from the estate, if you're on the fence, if you're in a gray area.
Hold on, back up a second. I want to clarify something you just said, because I feel like it was too simplistic. It's the right answer. Let me start with that. But when you say don't do that, who are you talking to? Are you talking about the user, or are you talking to
both?
OpenAI?
Both.
Because you're never going to get the user to don't do it, because that's like when Beyonce said delete that photo off the internet, and then it just was everywhere on the internet, right?
No,
like,
listen. I still believe in my fellow humans, and I do say, like, I talk to you, I speak to you, I speak to us as people to participate with integrity, right? Like, do your best not to play in that game, but also with the company that's in charge, you know. And let's be very clear, OpenAI's guardrails on Sora 2 are really, 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 really strict, like very, very, very strict. So people, of course, are always finding loopholes, but I think once the company starts to see, you know, things like MLK or Robin Williams and people violating, they got to figure out ways to just remove them, pull them, stop people from doing that, because that's they got to play ball too, and then really be able to enforce those. I'm not saying I know how to. I'm not saying that, but they should.
Japan knows how to.
Japan does. Well, So
okay, so this really no. Hold on. Okay, Studio Ghibli, the really popular 1980s Japan animation movies, very iconic design. All of a sudden, when ChatGPT, OpenAI could start doing image generation, people started making image generation in that studio's design. And Japan in the studio basically came to OpenAI and was like, and no, you won't. And was pretty successful in defending that case. They're back. Japan has now warned OpenAI over Sora 2, which is a new litigation.
Yes.
About the use of manga, anime characters, specifically calling out what they call, and this is a quote, irreplaceable cultural treasures. And I agree with them wholeheartedly, because you can make Goku, you can make Sailor Moon, you can make any Japanese owned iconic IP. It's no different than if Disney were to say Star Wars or Mickey Mouse or what have you, right? Like it is, as I think the person or the companies that's going to be the one to actually defend all of this, Nintendo is real legit when it comes to protecting Mario, protecting Zelda, protecting Link, and their iconic IP. Donkey Kong is even, which is, to me, the Donkey Kong one's a little bit funny because like Donkey Kong was kind of stolen IP, but like, okay,
all right.
I mean, it was basically King Kong. I mean, like let's be real.
That's real. So let me ask you this: how realistic do you think it is because we're talking about big players, and I don't want to leave the small players off the table. Nintendo's a big player, but how realistic is it to you, for creators and the small studios to really defend their IP in this age of AI? So like if you have a Sora 2 and you can just generate instant knockoffs, like do you really think we're really going to make a case for small studios, or do you think the big dogs have to take it to court first?
If it is up to the individual intellectual property holder to make an individual case per infraction, it's impossible. At that point, every AI company's won. It's over. It can't be done, because what is good for one has to be good for all. That is genuinely how our copyright law is supposed to work. It doesn't always work that way, but that is how it's supposed to work. And everyone has the same intellectual property rights across the board. That means that my intellectual property rights for a book that I wrote is just as real as the original script for Star Wars. Now, Star Wars can definitely defend better,
right?
But by the definition of our understanding of copyright law, it's supposed to be the same. So the issue here is that this is not being challenged. We have a incredibly torn government right now and I'm not talking about an individual party either. I'm talking about a massive misunderstanding across the board, where even if there's a singular controlling political party, even within that party, people aren't agreeing with what should or should not be protected.
Right.
And so as long as all of that is divided, confused, and in some weird legal kerfuffle, it's not going to get resolved. And I think OpenAI knows this.
Right.
So they're steamrolling ahead before the arguments can be made, so they can be like, well, can we just grandfather this stuff in? And this stuff is all stuff.
Right. Everything's in this. So that's the conversation and the point that you just made about how we manage this as a global society. I think it's always been my big thing. It's a global conversation. And because when you talk about legal rights, I mean, there's just, you got to be able to set some precedent. And I think the, OpenAI's response about rights holders and controls to Japan, it sounds nice, but to your point, I just think for when real enforcement of global standards, it's just a Band-Aid. Like there's a much deeper wound there.
There is, you're right, but there is some areas to which that can be enforced, right? So Japan has very incredibly strict data laws where a lot of like data right access cannot leave a server in Japan, right? Like it's legally not allowed to. This is normally for like personal information data, but I don't know to what extent it actually extends, but I do know it is for like personal information data. So one of the things Japan can do is just say, okay, OpenAI, if you're not going to play ball, you don't have access, like Japan will not be able to access you. This is probably the most effective tool that they have in their tool belt.
Mm-hmm.
And we could see a similar adoption in Europe, which is kind of how we're getting a lot of our new internet laws of you're either going to play ball or you're just not going to have access, and then you're going to lose this mass population. And as much as I think we like to think of American technological exceptionalism, we are not a big enough platform to make a singular piece of this expensive system profitable with just us alone. Any AI product with as expensive it is to run and manage has to be a global solution technology. So if you can't get the rest of the globe, it's not really worth the effort just for us.
Okay. Do you think now that Sora 2 has been in the market for a little bit and people kind of are getting introduced to this more social media type version, like rendition of it, do you think Sora 2 has a use case in the long term?
No, I don't think Sora 2 matters.
Okay. All right. I'm not checking.
I don't think Sora 2 matters, but the reason is incredibly humanistic and simplistic. There's not a justifiable use case for Sora 2.
Okay. All right.
Other than I want to make content. And it is getting roasted online for that simple question of, okay, it's a really... Okay, think about it like this. You and I love magic, right? Magicians, like I'll go and watch a street magician play, perform. I have gone to the Magic Castle and I'll sit front row. That is amazing. But I can only watch a card trick so many times, right? So it's as if you are trying to sell a lifelong, your entire life is sitting front row in a magic show. Eventually, that trick wears off.
Right.
And you're just like, yeah, I get it. You sawed the lady in half. You put her back together. You've done that a million times. Now you saw a gorilla in half. It doesn't matter. A zebra in half. It don't matter. Okay. It's the same freaking trick. So why do we care? I think a lot of it is the dream that people who are either lazy or not creative now have a fast track to appear as if they are doing something and are creative.
Great point.
That's short. That's going to be short-lived. It's already mocked. I've just not heard with the biggest argument I've heard, and it was simply a quote that I saw reposted from X, and I cannot attribute it because I didn't save it, but it's stuck in the back of my head, was, okay, OpenAI, you've asked for $1 bajillion, and we said okay because you promised to solve cancer.
You're right. That part.
So where are you on that? Why are you so obsessed with generating crap?
Yeah, because a lot. Well, and that. So I just want to go back to something you pointed out in the top, and I do agree with you. We all know that there is a time and a place for the trick, for the content, right? And that time and place, what I've seen from a few of my fellow creators leveraging Sora, there is a time and a place, but boy, oh boy, how quickly does that just become overused and just, the outpouring of slop is just going to be there. That's what makes it just like put a bad taste in your mouth, is just the ability to generate so much crap at ease and just and then you start looping in the whole conversation around IP and rights and just,
And I
violating
think
our
one of the
fellow sacred treasures across the board.
right. And, you know, I think an older generation gets blamed for a lot of like technological mistakes, but I don't actually blame them for like, oh, how social media turned into like propaganda machines and like, you know,
I blame my elders for everything. I blame it all.
There's some issues, but for that, I don't, right? Like, I don't think we understood what was really happening when we saw the early evolution of like MySpace and Facebook and Zanga pages and all of that. We didn't get it, right? It was blogs and things like that. It didn't register. It actually felt like freedom.
Mm-hmm.
And that eventually turned into controlled content. Now, the thing that I don't hear a lot about is the threat of AI tools following the same trend. In fact, I never really thought about it because it's like, well, it's generating content I specifically asked for. Now, in all transparency, I know I sound like a technophobe who doesn't like AI. That's not true. I even use it for this show. But when I use it, it's because I am trying to organize data that I've already curated. So we build a rundown for this show. You're looking at it right now, and it has all of the stories that I've pulled by hand during the week, and then just organizes them into a text document that gives the headline, a little paragraph of a summary so that my guests can know what the story's about without reading the full article. And I double check every single one of those to make sure they're accurate. And then a link for you to go and see the actual story. And it's usually spot on because it's a pretty simple task. It's a good use case for a large language model. However, today was the first day, so lucky you for being on the show, where I had a very explicit thought of, is OpenAI whitewashing negative news on OpenAI? So the very first story on this list, the title is, on the rundown that it printed, is OpenAI partners with Broadcom to power the next generation of AI chips. The paragraph that it wrote was, OpenAI has inked a multi-billion-dollar deal with Broadcom to co-develop custom AI accelerator chips, marking another major step towards hardware independence from NVIDIA. The partnership aims to optimize performance and energy efficiency for OpenAI's expanding infrastructure, a move signaling how serious the company is on betting on its own AI supply chain from silicon to software. Wonderful. Sounds great. Sounds like a story I would cover. Click the link and read the headline that's actually to this story.
Yeah. Sora 2 and ChatGPT are consuming so much power that OpenAI just did another 10 gigawatt deal.
That's the actual story.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I dropped my phone. Mic drop right there. That's the actual story.
Consuming too much.
Yeah, the actual article is about them having to sign another
chip deal,
another gigawatt deal just to get more power because of how much Sora 2 has increased their power consumption, which is not necessarily a positive look for this. Now, this is a CNN article. This is not some like deep in technoblog article. This is a straight up consumer friendly news article. But the fact that was how it resurfaced or reimagined the actual story. Technically correct. Everything in the paragraph is technically correct. It is about the omission of what it actually is in a complete rewrite of that title. Is that in and of itself a story worth talking about? No, but is the concept? Yes, it is. This is where it starts getting really hairy. And it sounds like I'm beating up on OpenAI a lot. I'm not. This is a question across the board because so much of this stuff is just calculated outside of human reach.
Yeah.
You know. So
and it's funny, and it's funny too. I'm so glad you bring that up because I use Brave browser. I don't use like Chrome or Safari, whatever. But Brave is the one that I like, and the built-in AI assistant they have. I'll give you some of the notes that I have from that, which is very, very like to support your point. The deal highlights how AI services like ChatGPT and Sora 2 are increasingly power hungry. ChatGPT would never call OpenAI increasingly power hungry. I mean, it's obviously a double entendre there, but I think that's a really great point that you're making, man. And that is, I think, a story worth covering to circle back around, like how content's being whitewashed or filtered.
Yeah, now I've got to keep a closer eye on the output, right? And so I think that's something that's just healthy for everyone to do. Again, I'm not saying don't use an AI tool. I'm saying don't rely on an AI tool. And if you're relying on an AI tool to make yourself appear more creative, what are you doing with your life? Like, just don't go be creative. Go do something else. Like, there's creativity in every corner of every human being. It just might not be visual art, so it.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Well, going back to what you said earlier, like when you were visiting LA, we were going around and checking out, just really understand how these tools fit in your toolbox, how they enhance your toolbox, but also understand the caution that comes with these tools in your toolbox. So it's an ongoing discussion. Sora 2 is actually 2 weeks old, maybe, if that. So we are still the guinea pigs, but I think since we're on the topic of the power grid, there is absolutely a conversation, and I'll speak for myself personally. I think about how much power I generate when I'm using ChatGPT or when I'm using Sora 2. And even just to the point of like, how does this math? Like if I'm paying $20 a month or whatever people like pay for ChatGPT, there's no way that $20 is covering the amount of money that it's costing to power these queries. And after some point, stuff is just going to start. Something's got to give. Right?
I've said this before, and it's because it's unknown data, right? Like that. I do question how energy inefficient it actually is comparative. So think about it like this, and then we're going to go on break. But this is my argument to play devil's advocate. Surprise, surprise. If I have to sit down and make an image on the computer, I need to make a digital image. Okay. I'm a graphic artist. I'm going to pull out my tablet. I'm going to sketch whatever I want on my tablet. I'm going to send that image onto my desktop computer. I'm going to open Adobe Photoshop or whatever tool that I would like, and I'll spend hours perfecting it. I will email that off. It will come for revisions. It'll come back. I will spend more hours on back and forth. So I am spending hours on electronic devices and servers without AI, right? Mm-hmm. None of this is something that any of us calculate, right? Mm-hmm. That you are expending a significant amount of energy just by doing this. Sure. We don't calculate that. So we're not doing a one-to-one comparison. The best comparison is like, if you do this, it's like running your microwave for 3 minutes. Okay, is that bad in comparison with what it would take time-wise for me to... No, there's an inkling, and I have no mathematical proof for any of this, that the video is probably significantly worse. But for sure, what it currently is right now, it seems like a weird argument before more like the whole thing could get shut down with intellectual property laws, regardless of its energy consumption. And I do think that the energy consumption is shockingly high for as little time as it takes. But when you compare it for the amount of time it would take for the same output with the energy consumption, I don't know what that offset really looks like. It's something we don't consider. Right? If I were to sit down and draw the picture with a piece of paper and a pen and colored pencils, okay, now I'm not consuming any energy. Well, is that true? Because
you got a light on in your studio.
You got a light on your studio. It took energy to create that piece of paper, right? Mm-hmm. Like you had a tree had to get cut down, something cut that somebody had to make the colored pencils. Everything we do, the amount of food that we have to consume to keep our bodies going consumes energy. So we don't really have this one-to-one offset of the energy consumpmption's so bad. I don't actually know if that's true. I have a feeling it probably is.
Throw it out there before you go to break, just so the listeners are not like, okay, give us the energy cost of a single ChatGPT query was previously estimated to equal running a light bulb for a few minutes. But generative video models like Sora 2 use vastly more power, which is how they're phrasing that. And right now, ChatGPT now serves 800 million weekly users. So you add those 800 million weekly users to the runtime of a light bulb, and you can start there with some energy consumption numbers, obviously, and then add Sora 2 on top of that.
Even that is confusing to me, though, because are we running an incandescent light bulb? Are we running an LED light bulb? Because if it's an LED light bulb for a couple of minutes, that's nothing, right?
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
I need numbers. I'm an engineer. I know how these, tell me the wattage hours, right? Like tell me what you're actually spending. And that information is just not there. And I just feel like it's an argument worth having when the data can present itself. that there are stronger arguments right now over just basic intellectual property laws and human decency laws that are not being attributed as quickly. So we should start with the easy stuff first and see where it goes. But anyways.
Yeah. Climate impact, though. Climate impact. That's a priority too, bro.
It is. No, it is. It is. I'm like I said, I just am trying to follow real data here. All right, we're going to go on break. We will be back with more Tech Magic right after this.
This message is brought to you by Warner Brothers Discovery Advertising. And this is more than an ad. This is an invitation to be part of the stories the world can't stop watching, to connect with moments that dominate the conversation, to participate in culture, not just advertise around it. With the most sought-after IP, passionate audiences, and an advanced AI-powered foundation, WBD advertising transforms attention into influence and impressions into outcomes. This is innovation. This is impact. This is opportunity. This is Warner Brothers Discovery Advertising. Visit advertising.wbd.com to learn more.
Are your ad campaigns lighting up the dashboard, but not the pipeline? That's bull spend, and marketers are calling it out in Dashboard Confessions.
My boss asked for results, so I opened my dashboard for the only positive-sounding metric I had: impressions.
Cut the bull spend. See revenue, not just reach. LinkedIn delivers the highest return on ad spend of major ad networks. Advertise on LinkedIn. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a $250 credit. Go to linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
All right, we're back with more Tech Magic. My name is Lee Kebler. I am here with Adam Davis-McGee, ADM, for all of you listening. Kathy is, I believe, in Singapore. She will be back next week. And we're off the AI trip. We're done. I did my AI. We did it. We ran the AI ranting into the ground. Let's talk about some gaming, some new news, and we will wrap up this show quickly. So first off, you and I like talking to you about Roblox because your kids are just old enough to know Roblox is a thing, right? Mm-hmm. And yeah, Roblox has had some rough news this year. Mm-hmm. They've had a couple of rough months when it comes to news over parent concerns, safety concerns, as they should.
Yeah.
There's always a question of, well, what can they do to solve it? I've tried to toe a line here that gave them the benefit of the doubt while demanding, like, yes, this is something that needs to be resolved.
Totally. Absolutely.
You and I have talked about this. Your kids don't play Roblox.
They're not there yet.
Yeah.
So they're especially my youngest, who's 3, but my 7-year-old, she's starting to get, catch wind of it and hear about it at school. And, just the other day, actually this weekend, she was like, when am I getting a cell phone? I said, ha ha ha. So many years, my sweet. So many years. Holler at me when you're the double digits. You're still in the single digits. But yeah, but I'm excited about this news from Roblox and what they're launching. I'm actually really surprised that it took them this long to convene, what they're calling it's a first ever parent and caregiver council.
Yeah.
How is that language and like how is that just now coming to light? Like, how are you just now creating something like that as a company who's audience and like you said, when dealing with all of these ways in which to navigate safety on your platform, like how are you just now, and maybe they haven't, maybe they're just now framing it publicly this way, and internally, privately, they've been doing it, but to just now be putting together a parent and caregiver council aimed to make the platform safer and improve the online experience for families, it's like, y'all are kind of late to the game for this, but I'm glad to see you do it. Better late than never.
Well, I think from a perspective, there is this issue of this is not me playing devil's advocate here because I think it's a good thing to do this, but putting a parent council, in your system, while it makes total logical sense, there's a level of education to that council that is now going to be the burden of Roblox, right? Of why they can and cannot technically do things. One of the things that I have called out early on since the whole thing with Chris Hansen making, I think, a docuseries or something about this was, all right, I get that these things happened on Roblox, but they didn't actually stop there. In many cases, the real damage transferred over to Discord. So when you bring in like a parent council like this, they're going to be up in arms, rightfully so, to protect children, which is the foremost important thing of this story. Okay,
Absolutely.
Let me be very clear.
Absolutely.
But if I'm Roblox, and how many times do I have to explain to the world that, like, okay, we can't keep people from being in the same room. We've kept them all from communicating, but if they take that communication off of our server and go to Discord or go to some other chat client, they're out of their walled garden, and there's nothing that Roblox can do, right? So there's plenty that Roblox can do, should do, have done, that I will applaud them for, and I think they can do more. And this parent council's hopefully going to make that happen.
One thing I think is really great to see is this is not just a United States based effort. It's a global effort where they're including the US, Canada, Mexico, and Europe. And they've expressed, to expand even, globally in the future. So the council members are set to provide input on everything from product features, policies, resources, and they'll be meeting quarterly to share feedback directly from directly with the Roblox teams. Now, when I think about this, of course, in my super maniac mind, I just think about like the parents that are going to be in there just to cause chaos. Like, because all parents aren't created equal.
I don't think this is like a PTA meeting. Okay, I don't think
there's going to be some radical parents in there that are just like, so I think we should have an open bar for kids. But like, I don't know, just really wild ideas can come from parents as well. So I'm excited to see what comes from it.
As long as the council is like properly put together and it runs like a functioning organization, yeah, I think that this is necessary. We'll see more about this. It's going to be something we keep an eye on. However, speaking of kids, Nintendo just did something that I wish they would have done ages ago. They disproved a major gaming myth. I remember when I was a kid, I loved playing my Super Nintendo, and my parents, who were both public school teachers and of that generation who weren't really sure what video games were just like, it's going to rot your brain. I can't tell you how many times we've all heard that.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And it's going to destroy your attention span. Well, surprise, surprise, it looks like after many long-held researches, that myth has been debunked. Thousands of players with researchers have found for certain types of gameplay, it actually improves sustained attention and working memory. I totally see this. There's a lot of like RPG games, role-playing games, things like that, where you have to concentrate for hours on end to enjoy these games. Sure. Are there like fast, quick games that destroy your attention span? Sure. 100%. Does it destroy your attention span worse than Instagram or TikTok? I highly doubt it. So thanks, Nintendo. Play your games. Enjoy it. Expand your mind.
Yeah. I mean, that the obsession with screen time as a source of mental health risk is basically now being debunked.
I don't think it went that far. I think screen time, it depends on what
high level.
Because what it's saying is the screen time the experience that you have while playing a video game is not the same screen time experience as you have scrolling social media.
Right. It's whether the game it's how it fits into someone's life, not how many hours they play. And that's obviously the thing.
Because if you do this exact same study and you apply it to short form videos, right? Like, you're going to get a completely different outset, right? It's just going to give you a completely different response. So it's not just the screen time, it's the quality of the screen time.
So then here's the question then. how does a Nintendo or, some of these other platforms, how do they become more involved in helping parents? Like, we go back to the council, right? Or just the players. We'll talk about the players, but because I don't want to, put Nintendo Switch players as like being, minors or whatever, obviously. But how do these platforms how do they become more involved in helping players now with this data being introduced on how games impact their lives instead of just tracking the playtime?
I think since the 90s, I think Nintendo has made a really strong effort to make games were not just fun, but actually had the mental stimulation that promoted thought growth. And I think that happened with the invention of Mario Paint for the Super Nintendo. That was when I started seeing like a push for not just education, but fun, right? And I think that was the first time that I remember as a kid that Nintendo put something out that wasn't a game, but it was something that like, oh, you can make art. Or it was my first introduction to the music staff for like making music because it had this music programmer in it. It was rudimentary at the time. And if anyone's curious as what it is, they just put this on the Nintendo Switch Online package, so go play with it. It's very rudimentary, but it's something that I think shifted a lot of that mentality. I look at the first pack-in game that Nintendo put with the Game Boy, which was Tetris. That game, that was such a brain teaser of a game,
sure.
that I genuinely think it made me a smarter person.
Yeah.
At least helped me recognize pattern integration and how to fit pieces together. And as I play, as I grew up and played other games, Nintendo has consistently made games that make you think, even in their most simplistic ones. And so I think they've been doing it. They've just been doing it without taking the credit. And it's what has made so many of their games classics.
Well, I think they need to convene a council of parents, schools, and clinicians, and help people develop gaming habits that support their well-being. I think it's a great opportunity there.
I got two more stories I want to hit before we wrap this up. One, Apple Vision Pro. A lot of conflicting news. Every time I see a news article about the Apple Vision Pro getting like a refresh, I see it almost immediately. Another article saying they're ditching the Apple Vision Pro so they can make AI glasses similar to like what the Meta Ray-Bans are. No one knows. I'm not going to go over those stories because one pops up, it's like whack-a-mole. They just are both. We'll find out in time. What we do know is Apple is actually getting a full-core NBA license for their Vision Pro to bring live NBA games, including Lakers matchups, into the Apple Vision Pro's 3D environment. I'm not at all surprised by this. I'm actually surprised it took this long.
Exactly. I'm like, welcome to 2016, Apple.
Come on. For those who don't know, I came from Intel Sports, which was basically formed out of a private company that got bought by Intel called Voke. Voke VR had a bunch of licensing agreements for sports to do sports in the VR headsets back in like 2017. Someone went out and like got all these. And there were basically two companies. There was Voke VR and the other one was Next. Next had, I think, like a lot of NBA and a bunch of other small, they did a big comedy tour stuff. Like they got some comedians, there's things like that. I don't remember everything they got.
Sports one was big.
The sports one was big.
Yeah.
Now, they didn't get every NBA because I think we had some as well. But it really taught me like how licensing agreements for this like television content worked, especially when you're trying to get it off of the TV and into a headset, which is not the same licensing agreement. So you had those two. They kind of had their own thing. Intel bought Voke VR. That's where a lot of the Olympics and some soccer stuff and things like that came from. And the Next, really early on, got purchased by Apple.
Yes. So long ago.
We're talking like 2017.
Yes.
Or 2018, somewhere around there.
A while ago.
Apple bought Next and then just went radio silent. So I think, this is me speculating here, that this is just a long time coming.
A very long time coming. And you got skipped over. Meta, like the NBA League Pass has been available in the Meta Quest for so long. You can watch your games courtside. Like, this should have been rolled out with the Vision Pro day one. I don't know how this got skipped over with when you're literally you bought the company before you had the headset. You
bought the company like 5 years before you had the headset.
So
you
I
had
mean,
it.
like you're not doing the announcement. While okay, great to hear for the sports fans who may have a Vision Pro sitting at their house and haven't been using it. Great, there's a few folks there, but I don't see it as being a super huge, uptick in their sales for their headsets or by any means. Like, I don't know. That's just it's a pretty. It's a pretty anticlimactic headline, in my opinion, or news, but whatever. Good for you, Apple.
I had to throw it in at the end of the show. And the last thing that I want to talk about. So last week we talked about the end of AOL dial-up internet. They finally shut off the last dial-up calls. It was done.
Oh,
rest in
RIP.
peace, AOL dial-up
RIP.
internet. No more of the loud screeching. It
Maybe
went
you
with a whimper, not a screech for sure.
I would add that just as a feature to my browser when I click my
Just say you've got mail.
Yeah, just do it.
Well, today is the day. And I know this because my computer just won't shut up about it. But today is the official day where Windows 10 is ending its support. So if you're a Windows user, and I know at least half a dozen of you listening are, when your computer is just going to keep bothering you about updating to Windows 11. Weirdly enough, my computer, which runs perfectly fine, it's not slow. It plays every video game I've ever wanted and does anything that I want it to do. It says it doesn't have enough spec to run Windows 11, so I can't upgrade. So there's going to be a bunch of us who are just rocking Windows 10, even though Windows 10 is no longer a thing for Microsoft to worry about. So yeah, expect those pop-ups when my Windows user friends to continue.
Can I ask you something about this real quick? Because I haven't been a Windows user for my personal stuff for a while. I obviously use it for some other projects. But what impact do you think this has just on the whole cybersecurity conversation? Because Windows has been getting, just hacked left and right. I mean, it seems like every other week there's a cybersecurity. But
well, yeah, that's been true since Windows 3.1, right? So Windows. When you have the largest used operating system in the world, and Windows still is the king when it comes to that, you are the most egregiously attacked cybersecurity threat that there is, right? So I don't necessarily think that this changes much other than here's a new protocol and the attack world has to figure out its own way around it. I will say, I've been running Windows 10 on my VR gaming machine on the same machine with the same hardware since 2016. And I've never run into a single vulnerability. I've never had anything bad happen. I've never downloaded a virus. All of this. It used to be when I was a kid, if you opened up the internet, your computer got a virus, right? You didn't even know what happened. Now, if you just don't download crap, you don't know what it is, right? And it does a pretty good job of scanning, keeping you away from that type of stuff. That's all kind of subsidized. It's gone away.
Okay.
So yeah, the Windows 11 seems to be more of a drive for we need a new operating system. We want to build new features. We need to support bigger, larger, faster hardware. I think there's going to be a lot of AI driven nonsense when it comes to this.
Of course.
Which, okay, fine. We did see an article that Microsoft is trying to create and launch their own image generation tool.
They did launch
everybody else. They did launch it.
They did launch it.
So okay, throw that one in the heap.
Completely separate from OpenAI, listeners. Completely separate. It's Microsoft's own. Yeah. So I mean, that's important. I think that's significant about how that move impacts the millions of people that can or won't, or won't be able to upgrade. As well, for businesses and everything else. So that's the thing that comes into my brain is the security aspect of those millions of users. And I think that's really important. But
so with that, we're going to wrap up. Before I wrap up, I always like to ask whoever I'm talking with if they are reading, listening to, recently saw a movie, something that they suggest for the listener. What have you been doing? What do you suggest?
I will say that one of my favorite audiobooks that I've been listening to is How to Change Your Mind by Michael Pollan. And that's a really great read about how plant medicine, psychedelics, all of that stuff is being used for therapy and wellness in the field.
Interesting.
It's a good one. And yeah, I just am finishing up that book, that audiobook. That's what I've been listening to.
Yesterday, my wife and I went and saw One Battle After Another.
Oh, heard it's great.
It is. It's a solid movie. I would give it 4.8 out of 5 stars.
Nice. That
it
is
was good.
I'm here. The missus and I haven't watched it yet, but we plan on it. And the reviews I keep hearing from, friends and critics alike are 2 thumbs up.
It's not a perfect film, but it is a good film.
Okay.
And it's a timely one. So yeah, worth checking out. And with that, I have to say thanks for tuning into Tech Magic, where we always invite you to come for the tech and stay for the magic. I'm Lee Kebler here with Adam Davis-McGee. Kathy will be back next week. Special thanks, as always, to Adweek for bringing this show to you. If you've enjoyed today's episode, please leave us a review. Let us know your thoughts. We'd love to connect with you. Just search for Tech Magic, me, Lee Kebler, or Adam Davis-McGee, or Kathy Hackle. You'll find us. And be sure to check out our new Substack. I'll be updating it with all the stories that we covered here. And until next week.
Are your ad campaigns lighting up the dashboard, but not the pipeline? That's bullspend, and marketers are calling it out in Dashboard Confessions.
My boss asked for results, so I opened my dashboard for the only positive-sounding metric I had: impressions.
Cut the bull spend. See revenue, not just reach. LinkedIn delivers the highest return on ad spend of major ad networks. Advertise on LinkedIn. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a $250 credit. Go to linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.